All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about one of the most talked about, ambitious, and frankly controversial tech companies out there right now, ONPASSIVE. Is this the all-in-one AI dream they say it is? Or is there something else going on? Let's unpack it.
Just think about it for a second. What if you only needed one login, one single company to handle your email, your social media, your video meetings, your marketing tools, absolutely everything? That's the huge, game-changing promise we're looking at today.
So, what exactly is ONPASSIVE? Well, on paper, it's a tech company based out of Dubai, founded by a guy named Ash Mufareh. And their mission? It's huge. They want to build a complete collection of business software, what the tech world calls SaaS, and have it all powered by artificial intelligence, all living inside one big, happy family they call the ONPASSIVE ecosystem, or OES for short. To really wrap our heads around this, we've got to start with the vision itself, because this isn't just about making a few useful apps. Nope, the goal here is to create an entire, seamless digital universe.
So let's break down their core promises, because this is what gets people so excited. First up, a single, unified ecosystem where everything just works together. Next, AI is the magic ingredient, the secret sauce that's supposed to automate pretty much everything. Then there's the price. They're promising low cost or even free access to some of their tools. And to top it all off, they talk a big game about user privacy and security. I mean, it sounds like the perfect setup, doesn't it?
All right, so a big vision is one thing, but what about the actual stuff? The products. Let's take a look at what they claim is already available in their ecosystem and what they say is just around the corner.
Okay, so on the Available Now shelf, we've got tools that'll probably sound familiar. There's OMail, which is their spin on an AI-boosted email service. ONet, their version of a social network. OTrim, a simple URL shortener. And OConnect, their video conferencing platform that's meant to go head-to-head with the big players. These are kind of the building blocks of their whole world.
But now, look at what's on the coming soon list. This is where you can really see the scale of what they're trying to do. It's massive. We're talking about things like OVerify for identity verification, OTracker for website analytics, ODesk for customer support, and even something called OBless, which is a crowdfunding platform. The mission is pretty clear. They want to have a tool for literally any business need you could think of.
So you lay all that out on the table, and yeah, the vision is seriously impressive. A single platform driven by AI, handling your communication, your marketing, your finances, you name it. It's a really compelling idea of a much simpler digital life.
And right here, this is where the story takes a hard left turn. Because having a great vision is one thing, but making it a reality, that's a whole different ballgame. Okay, so now we have to flip the coin over and look at the other side. We're talking about the concerns, the constant delays, and some really serious questions that people are starting to ask.
And when you start digging, some pretty big red flags start popping up. For one, there are tons of reports from users about launch delays, being told for ages that products are coming any day now. Even more serious, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, has filings that outright allege the company's business structure looks like a pyramid scheme. On top of that, there are big questions about how well the so-called release products actually perform and a general lack of clarity on how they're even being developed.
So, where does all this leave us? Well, it's kind of like standing at a crossroads. You've got this grand, amazing vision on one side and these really serious concerns on the other. So where is ONPASSIVE actually headed? Let's game out the two most likely futures.
A quick strategic look, a SWOT analysis, tells you almost everything you need to know. The strengths, that incredible vision and the focus on AI. But the weaknesses are glaring, a history of overpromising and these huge regulatory question marks. The opportunity is obvious. The whole world needs better digital tools. But the threats are just as real. You've got giants like Google and Microsoft to compete with, and the massive risk of losing the trust of your users for good.
This leads us down two completely different paths. Best case scenario, ONPASSIVE gets its act together. They launch solid, reliable products, they sort out their legal troubles, and they actually become a legitimate competitor, maybe finding a niche in emerging markets. But the worst case scenario? The products never quite work, the legal problems spiral, trust completely evaporates, and the whole ecosystem just fizzles out. A cautionary tale of a big dream that couldn't deliver. Okay, so with the stakes this high, the most important question is for you. How can you possibly figure out what's real and what's just hype? Let's walk through a simple way to do your own homework.
Here is a super practical 5-step checklist. Step 1. Just be cautious.
don't make any big commitments without seeing real proof. 2, test the free products yourself, if you can. See how they feel. 3, do your own research. Look up what regulators in your area are saying, read real user reviews. 4, compare what they offer to tools you already use. Are they actually better? And 5, stay updated by following official announcements, not just what you hear from the community. This is how you can cut through the noise.
Which brings us right back to where we started, with that one giant question. Is ONPASSIVE truly building the digital ecosystem of the future? Or are they selling a future that's never actually going to arrive? In the end, the answer isn't going to be found in promises or marketing videos. It's going to be found in real, working products that people can actually use and trust. All right, so you ever wonder how a single idea can blow up into this massive, global tech ecosystem? Well, today, we're going to dig into just that. We're looking at the blueprint from entrepreneur Ash Mufareh, and we're going to break down his really unique, human-first approach to building tech. Okay, let's really dive into this, because this one quote, it's everything. According to the source material, this single, powerful idea is the foundation for the entire blueprint. It's basically the North Star for every single decision, every product that comes after.
And, this philosophy isn't just some catchy slogan. No, it's a real strategic focus. It's all about looking at what's out there, finding what's actually frustrating people, the real pain points, and then building solutions to fix them.
So, what does that actually mean? Well, as the source material lays out, his mission really zeroes in on these key areas. And you can see, it's about way more than just writing code. It's about, democratizing technology, making these powerful tools available to literally everyone, and even building ways for users to create their own income. Okay, but that's the big question, right? How do you take a philosophy like that and actually turn it into a multi-billion-dollar tech ecosystem? It's one thing to have a great idea. It's another to build real products that people can actually use every day. That's the tricky part. All right, let's get into how that vision actually becomes a reality. And what's really interesting, according to the source material, is that the whole process, it doesn't start with code or engineers. Nope. It starts with asking a few really important questions. This phase is what the source calls vision mapping. And it is the absolute bedrock for every single product they build. It's all about nailing down the why before you even think about the what. And a perfect example they give is the digital payment system, OWallet. And this chart, this really shows you the whole strategy in action. The blueprint is all about looking at the old way of doing things. The high fees, the frustrating delays, the confusing interfaces, and then building a totally new alternative from scratch that's designed completely around what the user actually needs. Okay, so once that vision, the why, is locked in, the blueprint shifts gears to the how. It lays out a really specific set of techniques for the actual development. These are like the core rules that the engineers and designers have to follow. First up, and this is a big one, an AI-first mindset. This means AI isn't just sprinkled on top at the end. No, it's baked in right from the start. It's fundamental, powering everything from smarter security to making the whole experience feel more personal for you. Second, we've got what they call radical user-centric design. And the key word here is radical. The whole goal is to make the interfaces so simple that anyone can use them. Think about it. Being able to launch a whole online store without knowing a single line of code. That's the idea. Third, everything has to be massively scalable. The systems are built using something called cloud-native technology. Now, all that really means is that they're designed from day one to live on the internet and handle huge amounts of traffic. So millions of people can use it all at once, and it won't just crash and burn.
Number 4, security is an absolute priority. It's not an add-on, it's part of the foundation. The source points out that stuff like multi-layer encryption is standard, and that's a great way to think about it. It's like putting your data in a safe, and then putting that safe inside another, even bigger safe. It's not an optional extra. And finally, number 5, continuous improvement. No product is ever just done. It's not finished and shipped. Instead, it's a living thing. The idea is to constantly evolve, using feedback from real users and data from the AI to keep making it better and better.
So, you take all these core techniques, right? But they aren't just separate ideas. The whole point is to combine them into something much bigger, a fully integrated ecosystem. And this ecosystem has a very specific and honestly, a pretty surprising goal. And that brings us to what's called the financial empowerment model. This is maybe the most unique part of the whole blueprint. The goal isn't just to sell you a service. The goal is to build a platform where you, the user, can actually generate your own income directly from it.
And this is how it works in practice. We're talking about things like affiliates earning commissions through OWallet or sellers setting up their own stores in OShop and keeping the profits. It's a key difference. By building this stuff in, the ecosystem becomes truly user-driven. Basically, when the users succeed, the platform succeeds. It's a win-win.
So if you boil it all down, the entire Ashmufara method follows this really clear 6-step cycle that you can see here. It's a repeatable process. You identify a real problem, you build a solution, you weave in AI, you test it like crazy, you build in a way for users to make money, and then you just keep improving it. It's a loop that starts and ends with the user.
So, the source material really presents this as a whole new way of doing things, a new standard that challenges the old models of tech development, which really just leaves us with one big question to think about. Is this the future? Is this a new standard for building tech that's not only sustainable, but also ethical and truly puts the user first? It's definitely something to watch. And that's all for this explainer.
So how do you build technology that actually, truly serves people? Today, we're going to break down the unique blueprint from Ash Mufareh, the founder of ONPASSIVE. And what we'll find is that this is way more than just a method for writing code. It's a whole philosophy for innovation.
Everything starts right here with this one single idea. You can think of it as the North Star for the entire approach. It's the central pillar that supports every single decision and every product we're about to look at.
And you gotta understand, this isn't just some catchy slogan you'd see on a poster. It's treated as an actual operational principle. It really acts like a compass, guiding the whole development process from that very first what-if idea all the way to the final product launch.
Okay, so a core belief like that sounds great. But how does it actually translate into action? Let's dive in and unpack the specific philosophy that drives this whole approach to creating technology.
Here's how it all breaks down. The focus is always on solving real-world problems that people are actually facing, not just chasing whatever the latest market trend is. The goal? To automate the complicated stuff, make the user experience dead simple, and use AI as the engine to cut down on errors and seriously ramp up the value you get.
Right, a strong philosophy is one thing, but how do you turn that into a process you can repeat over and over to create amazing products? Well, that brings us to the actual blueprint for innovation.
The whole process is really a 3-step dance. It kicks off with what's called vision mapping, which is all about establishing the fundamental why behind a project. Only after that's crystal clear does the team move on to the how, the research and development phase, which is then followed by some seriously rigorous testing to make sure the final product actually delivers on that initial vision.
Vision mapping can sound a little corporate, right? So what does it actually look like in the real world? Let's check out a concrete example of how this first step really works.
Okay, this is a perfect example of that problem-first approach. Before OWallet was even a thing, the team reportedly dug into all the pain points of existing systems. You know, the crazy high fees, those frustrating delays, the lack of access. OWallet was then specifically engineered to tackle every single one of those problems head-on. You see, the whole process starts with the user's frustration, not a list of product features.
Then comes the second phase, R&D. And it's just as strategic. This is about looking at what competitors did wrong so you don't make the same mistakes, while also looking at where the industry is headed. The idea is to build tech that's still going to be relevant 5, maybe even 10 years down the road.
All right, the vision's locked in, the research is done. So how is the technology actually built? Let's break down the 4 core techniques they use during development.
This is where you can really see how those big ideas connect to actual products. So, an AI-first mindset isn't just a buzzword. It's why O-Verify can use facial recognition for super simple identity checks. User-centric design? That's how you get OShop, where literally anyone can build an online store without knowing a single line of code. And behind the scenes, you've got scalable architecture and top-notch security built in from day one.
Now, for most companies, launching a product is the finish line. Pop the champagne, job done. But in this blueprint, it's actually just the beginning. The goal isn't to create a bunch of static tools, but to build a living, breathing ecosystem.
So you launch the product, now what? How do you keep it from becoming old news in 6 months? Well, according to this blueprint, the answer is a constant feedback loop.
And this isn't just one thing, it's a full-on strategy. They're listening from all angles.
You've got AI analytics pulling in the hard data on how people are using the product. At the same time, the team is tuning into community conversations on platforms like ONET, and they top it all off with direct feedback from live, interactive sessions with the users themselves.
And here's the magic of it all. This creates this dynamic cycle where the technology is constantly adapting to the people using it. A perfect example is O-Verify. It apparently started as a basic ID check tool, but evolved into a much more advanced system with live video and blockchain authentication, all because that's what user feedback and needs were pointing to.
So, we've covered the philosophy, the blueprint, and that all-important feedback loop. Now, let's pull all these threads together and take a peek at where this whole thing is headed next.
So here it is, the entire blueprint boiled down into a 6-step cycle. You start with a real problem, build a simple and secure solution powered by AI, and then test it like crazy. Then comes a really key step. Monetization is actually designed so the users can benefit financially, which is a huge departure from traditional models. And from there, it goes right back into that loop of continuous improvement.
And you better believe this method is always looking to the future. The roadmap is already pointing toward Web 3, the idea of a more decentralized internet and blockchain-based identity. The big goal is to build platforms that are ready for the metaverse. And get this, they've even circled a date on the calendar. July 24th, 2025 is pegged as the target for the next major evolution of this whole ecosystem. Which brings us to our final big question. After breaking down this entire blueprint, from its core philosophy all the way to its future roadmap, it really all comes back to this one thing. What happens when technology is designed from the ground up, not just for the usual profit models, but to actually empower the very people who use it?